Hey guys, welcome back to the Always in Season podcast. Another great week of football. Started off with a great Thursday night game, Ravens Bengals. Ravens won 35-34. Bengals failed the 2 point conversion. There was a controversial call, but again, doesn't really matter. I mean, if both teams are going back and forth. Lamar had a really good game again, 25 of 33, 290 and 4 touchdowns. Jamar, if you had Jamar, you had a really good chance at winning your fantasy week. He had 11 for 264 and 3 touchdowns. Burrow went 34, 56, 420, and 4 touchdowns. It just seems like the Bengals at this point, it's just like, what can they do differently to turn it around? I feel like they've done everything.
Yeah, that's tough. Is that your question
Yeah,
for
well,
me?
what can they do differently to turn it around?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Jags in some ways. They need to finish games,
Mm-hmm.
and but also I think the Jags have had hotter starts than the Bengals, where
Yeah.
the Bengals it's like they have really strong second and third quarters, but
Yeah.
it's like the end of the fourth, beginning of the first quarter. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not there, and that's important. You
Yeah.
need to either jump on the momentum or you need to carry that momentum to the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game, and they're just not doing that. But I mean, the Ravens are a great team. It's a division game. Anything can happen, in division games. But hopefully the Bengals can get back on track. They play the Chargers. It'll be a very interesting game because I don't think the Chargers have been great,
No.
which we can talk about later. But it should be a
Yeah.
good matchup, and it might be the game that helps the
Yeah.
Bengals kind of get a win streak
I
going.
don't blame the Bengals at all for going for two. I think
No,
that if it goes in overtime and the Ravens get the ball, you haven't been able to stop Lamar,
no,
and
yeah,
it
Lamar
was
was
going to be over.
hot at the
Like,
end of the game.
like they had to go for two there, and
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
yeah. Yeah, so then the Giants Panthers, this was another one of the international games. I believe the last one of the season.
Hmm.
And Panthers won 17-20. Mac Jones was 22 of 37, 190 yards and 2 picks. Tracy Jr. was 18 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown. Had an unfortunate
Oh, really
fumble at the
bad.
worst
Yeah.
time, but he had a good game, and I do want to point that out. Bryce Young, meanwhile, was 15-25, 126 yards and a touchdown. And Hubbard had 28 carries for 153 yards and a touchdown. And then Woods and Joel each had an interception for the Panthers. My question for you is: Do you think this team, as in the players, believe in Bryce and rally around him?
I do. I think like you've seen. I mean, Bryce got benched and now has been starting for past 2 weeks. He's happier.
Mm-hmm.
I think he really grew from this experience, and it really changed him. And to see him happy is great. I think Canales has done a pretty good job. I think honestly, I know they haven't won many games, but they weren't expected to.
Yeah, 1-2 in a row
Um,
now.
I think that really this is a team that can rally around Bryce, and I think it's a confidence thing for Bryce. The talent has always been there, but I think his confidence has been so knocked just because of the supporting cast around him, the team around him. So I think this is absolutely a guy that they can rally around. If they hit on some draft picks, I think they do have the right coach. This could be a couple years process, but I think they could definitely rally around him, and he could be their franchise guy.
And that's the real question: is what kind of patience the organization is going to
Yeah.
have with the coach and with the quarterback. If they truly believe in them, they're going to stick with them and just be okay with that
Hmm.
gradual growth. And credit to the Panthers too, because they just traded away their best receiver or one of their best
Yeah.
receivers, and they're getting these wins. But yeah, so I'm happy for Bryce.
And then Xavier Leggett, he's looked really good too, their
Yeah,
rookie receiver. Um,
you've seen growth throughout the season.
right, for sure. Um, Patriots beat the Bears 19-3. Yet another game where just the Bears their offense is confusing. Um, I don't. I've said publicly on this podcast I don't like Caleb. I was kind of starting to feel bad for him a little bit. He was just getting. He got hit 13 times. He got sacked 9 times. Like the Patriots had 16 sacks on the season coming into the game, and they had 9 sacks. Caleb, at some points, he was holding onto the football too long. He was missing easy throws. He's regressing. Maybe Bears fans don't want to hear that, but he is, and it's more than just one thing. Drake May, he played well. He has shown that he can be their guy. 15 of 25, 184, a touchdown and a pick. The pick was a pretty bad interception, but Caleb was 16 of 30, 120, and 9 sacks. Who deserves the most blame for the Bears' struggles? Like, is it the owner? Is it at the top with the ownership? Like, who's most at fault here?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about that because with the Jets, we're right away like, okay, this is an older thing. Like, obviously, there's plenty of problems with the Jets, but we see, like, because it's been a longer than this season problem, let's look to ownership. how come we haven't done with the Bears? Because we love the houses. Like, is that why? Because
Yeah.
we have this like, oh look at them, they're so sweet, you know. But the thing is, maybe it is an ownership thing because we're seeing the same cycle over and over again. I do think they lack patience because they get a head coach, they fire him, they get a quarterback, then they replace him, and it's the same cycle.
Hmm.
I don't think they're great at drafting or building around their
Yeah.
players, but also they're not great at hiring. And I mean, they two teams, the Raiders and the Bears, going into their bye weeks respectively, fired their offensive coordinator slash play caller in Getsy, and now the Bears fired Shane Waldron. Both of them,
Main fire Shane Wall. He's still there.
no, they fired him this morning.
Oh, this morning they did. Okay.
Yeah, and both of them interviewed Cliff Kingsbury for that job.
Yep.
The Bears had an 8-hour interview with him, and they were like, "Nah, we're gonna go with Waldron." That's crazy talk. Like,
Yeah. And
no, it
yeah.
just on paper, especially with somebody who had worked with Caleb and who liked Caleb, and Caleb liked him. Like, they worked together well, and you don't go with that guy that just was mind blowing. And look, Cliff Kingsbury is having great success with Jaden Daniels. He's a huge part of Jaden Daniels' success. So I think.
Yeah.
I think ownership, because they've also changed the GM. Like,
Yeah.
they've been changing that. I think the ownership is the first place. But to talk about Caleb, he did hold on to the ball way too
Yeah.
long.
There were many times
In
where
a lot of those moments.
But
He does look worse. And the thing is, the best parts of Caleb Williams, the highlights, the best part of his game was his mobility and extending plays. He's just standing there.
Yeah.
He's become a pocket passer. It's something that I had said before the season started of why I didn't hop on the Caleb Williams hype train is because there's going to be athletes who are better than you on that field. You're not going to be the best athlete anymore, and that's going to be a wake-up call, and it's proven true. There's linebackers out there who are faster than Caleb, and he just is not ready for it.
Yeah.
And their offense has not been helping him at all, like in the play calling or scheme. But now they have to go play the Packers, who they never win against.
And I think that another reason, I just think like the ownership, like they're cheap. Like Jim Harbaugh has openly said he wanted to be in Chicago, but they refused to pay him $15 to $20 million a year. Which, I mean, certain coaches are they deserve that. And then what does Harbaugh do? He goes to the Chargers, who have zero weapons. Like Herbert doesn't really have anybody to work with. And who does he draft in the first round? Joe Alt. Like he gets someone to protect Justin Herbert. And the Bears had traded for Keenan Allen. They had DJ Moore. They didn't have to draft Rome Odunze. Like there were O linemen there that would have significantly helped you. And again, it's more than just the O line. It's a lot of different moving parts. And then Adam Rank, who covers the Bears in Chicago sports, I take this with a grain of salt, but he said that regardless of what happens, Matt Eberflus is going to be back. And as Bear fans, like they don't like that. Like this is maybe it's just kind of like, oh, we don't want to go back to the cycle of rookie quarterback 1 year, fire head coach, like same cycle. But if you don't change something, like Caleb is, I mean, he just kind of looks like shocked. He looks shell shocked, broken, like stunned. Like he's not used to this. He is a very emotional guy. We know that. We saw that in college, but it's the Hail Mary essentially broke that team. It did. They didn't bounce back the way they should have. I think Eberflus has lost the locker room, for the most part. And these guys, if the guys don't want to play for a coach, and I don't think DJ Moore really wants to. He doesn't. I don't think he likes Caleb. I think he likes Justin Fields better than he liked Caleb. They just don't seem on the same page. It's just there's so many things that you could do differently, and I do think it starts with ownership.
Well, next up we have the 49ers Buccaneers. 49ers won this game 23-20 on a game-winning field goal. Purdue was 25-36, 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jennings with 7 receptions, 93 yards. Pearsall and Kittle each had a receiving touchdown. Mayfield was 18 of 29, 116 yards and a touchdown. Irving had 13 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown, and White had a receiving touchdown. My question, despite the recent losses, has Baker Mayfield been a top 5 quarterback this year?
He's phenomenal. There was one play, 4th and 7. He has Nick Bosa like hanging on him. He has him stiff armed, and he completes a 4th and 7 pass. He has been unbelievable. Like with Mike Evans going down and then Godwin going down as well, like he's not working with a whole lot. He's been a phenomenal quarterback, a top five for sure, and this is a guy that I think a lot of guys rally around, and it's really unfortunate that they lost a close game, but I think if these injuries don't, I mean injuries happen, it's unfortunate, but um, if Baker were to string together a few games in a row, it wouldn't shock me. And there, I think he absolutely can single handedly go out and win games, and he almost did that on Sunday. So, yeah, he's absolutely been top five quarterback in my eyes. Chiefs beat the Broncos 16 to 14. Mahomes 28, 42, 266 and a touchdown. Bo Nix 22 of 30, 215 and two touchdowns.
Good game.
They blocked the game winning field goal. We can talk about the Chiefs like we always do, but the Broncos, I was impressed with Bo Nix. So, is Bo Nix like is he Sean Payton's guy for sure? Like, is this a legitimate like Super Bowl? I wouldn't say, but contender in a couple years. I would say not this year. Like, are they a few pieces away?
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is their guy for sure. I think we've seen that clearly. He's been getting better. It seems to be each week. And this is somebody who we didn't know if he was gonna be more of a project quarterback or if he was gonna be the kind of guy who started his rookie year. You know what I mean?
He has a lot of college experience, and I think that's helped him a lot.
It definitely has. He's older. As rookie quarterbacks come, and yeah, I think he's definitely Sean Payton's guy. I think the Broncos do have a solid team. They clearly are responding to Bo Nix's leadership and possibly Sean Payton's as well, but definitely just on the field you can see that they believe in Bo Nix. Their defense is aggressive and feisty. They had a really good game overall against the Chiefs. And yeah, I mean that blocked field goal, like it happens. It was a very impressive blocked field goal.
Yeah, they did everything.
They were ready for it. But yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah.
And if you're already competing in your quarterback's rookie year, if you're already competing with the top team in the league, definitely the top team in your division, then I think you have to say, yeah, you're just a few pieces away. Bills Colts. Bills won 30-20. Allen was 22 of 37, 280 yards, but 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Cook had 19 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Rapp, Austin Johnson, and Teron Johnson all had interceptions for the Bills. Flacco was 26 of 35, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions for Flacco. Taylor was 21 carries, 114 yards. Pearson Goodson each had a touchdown, and Moore and Speed each had an interception. If quarterback wasn't the issue for the Colts, then who is to blame for the Colts' struggles? Because they're having the same issues with both quarterbacks. You know what I mean? That's my point.
I really do think that, I don't know, Kenny Moore had some comments after the game that really kind of show kind of what the culture is like there. I think that it does. I think it comes down to coaching decisions, not just like play calling. It's. I feel like Flacco and Richardson, they're so different. Like play styles that like you have to switch it up. You know, it's very similar like with Jordan Love and Malik Willis. Like they're different like play styles. Like you have to adapt. LaFleur does that phenomenally. I think Steichen and just like the play calling is not what it should be with Flacco. I was a big supporter of the decision to have Flacco in there, but they haven't looked better. And at this point, it's like you just maybe you do have to go back to Richardson just for.
That doesn't help anything.
I don't think it helps anything. It's really you've put yourself in a tough situation now where it's like you kind of thought you do have some pieces, you have some talent for sure, but you're not getting the production that you expected when you went to Flacco. So I think it comes down to coaching at the end of the day. If the guys, the defense is playing, I thought they played pretty well. I mean, it's the Bills, it's Josh Allen, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to coaching because you made the decision to go to Flacco and then you really don't look any better.
Vikings Jays. The Vikings won 12-7. Darnold was 24 of 38, 241 yards and 3 interceptions. Bynum and Murphy Jr. each had an interception for the Vikings. Jones was 14 of 22, 111 yards, um, two interceptions, and also a rushing touchdown. Olken, Savage, and Brown each had an interception. The question is, even though they won, okay, I have two questions for you actually. Even though they won, what has happened to the Vikings? Because these last 3 weeks,
Mm,
they have not looked good. Two losses in their last three
yeah.
weeks. And also, should the Jags make a drastic change? And if so, what is that change?
I think that like the first question is that like I think we see this a lot when the leaves start to change. This is where the Vikings kind of start to plateau. And if I I honestly believe if Trevor Lawrence plays that game, the Jaguars win. Mac Jones just was not, obviously you can't blame him. Like he just was not ready. He didn't look great. The defense for the Jaguars played well. I don't think that the Jaguars need to make a drastic change, but drastic as in like you mean firing someone or
Whatever, just a big change because you're seeing teams
I
make some
mean,
big changes.
I don't know. I think Doug Peterson. I think they kind of see how he does the rest of the year before maybe they make a decision. But I don't think they have to make a drastic change right now, just because I do think that Trevor, like they win that game if Trevor plays, and it's, unfortunately he didn't. But I don't know. I think Peterson, personally, I won't have him back next year, but I don't think he's going to get fired at this point. I think he, if they would have fired him, it would have been already. But I don't think they need to make a drastic change, just because I think they competed pretty well against I mean, what looks to be a pretty decent football team. Steelers beat the Commanders 28-27. Russell Wilson 14 of 28, 195, three touchdowns and a pick. Pickens had a phenomenal game, 5 for 91 and a touchdown. Jaden Daniels 17 of 34, 202. The ending of this game was crazy. It was what, fourth and one, and or third, yeah, fourth and one for the Steelers to end the game, and they got the Commanders to jump off sides, which is uh,
Undisciplined.
undisciplined. It's like they're not going to snap that football.
And it was the guy who jumped was right on top of the football.
Yeah,
You just have
it's
to
like
watch the football.
you don't listen to anything. You
Embarrassing.
watch it's horrible. My question is: are the Steelers legitimate Super Bowl contenders? They're first in the AFC North. Russ is playing really well. Kudos to Tomlin for making the call to start Russ, but are they like legitimately? Are they in that contenders tier?
Yeah, 100%. I think the Steelers are a great team. I think we've seen that over the years, and they were missing what piece? Quarterback, and they got that. They
Yeah,
got two of those possibly,
yeah,
but Wilson's looked better each week, I think, more comfortable, and also a little bit more bold, but not reckless. Um, and I mean, Tomlin's a great coach. And what is the phrase we always say about Super Bowls is, or championships, defense wins championships. They have a great
yeah,
defense. We'll see what Alex Highsmith's injury is. Haven't
yeah,
gotten word yet, confirmed, but they have a great defense, obviously led by T.J. Watt, and yeah, they're 100% Super Bowl contenders. It'll be interesting to see if they play the Chiefs in the playoffs. Playing the Ravens this week,
that's
and
gonna be a fun game.
just maybe even playing like the Broncos, the Texans, like
Mm-hmm.
in the playoffs, Bills, like whatever it may be. I think I think they would give every one of those teams some struggles. Titans, Chargers. Chargers won 17-27. That was just 18 of 23, 175 yards, two touchdowns. Ridley's five receptions, 84 yards, and two touchdowns. Herbert, meanwhile, was 14 of 18, 160 yards, a touchdown pass, and a rushing touchdown. And Johnston had a receiving touchdown. Chargers defense sacked Levis 7 times. What do you make of the Chargers, and are they a playoff caliber team? Because personally, I don't
Hmm.
firmly believe in them.
I think they can win a playoff game. I don't. I just like. There's still a lot of missing pieces. Harbaugh has done a really good job with what with. I mean, he has Herbert playing as well as I've seen him play,
Yeah.
but I just think that there's a lot of missing pieces yet. I think they can make the playoffs. Absolutely, I think they could shock a team maybe, or just like play good enough to win a playoff game, a wild card game. But I don't think they make it past the division round. I don't think they're ready yet. Harbaugh's built a good culture there in just a few short weeks. So they're on the right track. But yeah, tough test this week with the Bengals. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think they're a playoff team, as in like they can make the playoffs, but I don't think they make a deep run. Saints beat the Falcons 20-17. Kirk went 23 of 38, 306 and a pick. Carr 16 of 25, 269 and two touchdowns. MVS 3 for 109 and two touchdowns. Has Rizzi kind of Darren Rizzi, is he going to be like their next permanent head coach? Like, I know it's 1 week to say, but
Well, yeah, it's just 1 week. It's possible. You don't want to say that too soon
right,
because you see teams rally around just the change in general and
yeah,
having an interim head coach. You see that a lot, but it doesn't always play out fully. I mean, even with the Raiders, we saw that with Pierce, but then the season's been
yeah, not
rough.
great.
So I would pump the brakes on that one, but credit to Rizzi because he got them fired up, and it's a division game, and so anything can happen in a division game. And it was a close game against a team who has won a lot of close games. So, good job to the Saints. Derek Carr, way to credit Dennis Allen still. Like, I just have so much respect for Derek Carr. And Valdez Scantling, that's awesome for him. You know, he's been bounced around, and he had a good game clearly. And Rizzi, I mean, your post game press conference, you really are not afraid of
No.
just being raw and real. So credit to him
Yeah.
for being just a regular guy. I like it.
Yeah, and I
it.
think that's,
So,
players
respond to
can
that.
respond to that great, and just like being blunt about it, being transparent
We haven't
is
seen that type of transparency other than like Campbell and McDaniel. But this was a different type of
yeah.
transparency. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I would pump the brakes on saying
Yeah.
he's their permanent guy, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes. And I think a huge thing is not just wins and losses, but their energy and chemistry out there.
Yeah.
Eagles Cowboys. The Eagles won 34-6. Hurts was 14 of 20, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing, and an interception. Brown had 5 receptions for 190 yards, and then Goddard and Wilson each had a receiving touchdown. Now, I am not one to typically say these kinds of things that are extremely drastic.
Yeah.
And it seems like, oh, you don't know the NFL or whatever. But I played quarterback. All right, not a good arm. I still can throw well. I can throw accurately. If you give me 23 pass attempts like they gave Cooper Rush, I think I could get 45 yards.
Yeah.
Because he was 13 of 23 for 45 yards. That is insane.
Yeah.
Diggs had an interception. My question is actually about the Eagles. Is Jalen top 3 for MVP race?
I don't think so. I think that, like, he's played well. He's done what he's asked. Like, Saquon helps a lot. They have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I wouldn't say that. I don't know.
Who do you have above him?
I think, Lamar for sure. Goff was never in that conversation. Josh Allen has played well. It's really. I wish the Bengals were better with Burrow. I just don't think Jalen's played. I don't know.
He had 4 total touchdowns.
He did have 4 total touchdowns, and I credit the Eagles and Sirianni, because Sirianni's gotten some pushback, even though he's won games, with kind of how he's. I'm gonna say I'm Jalen here. I just think it's. I don't know. He's played well, but I wouldn't say he's top 3 MVP. But
you can't list 3 guys to put above him. You have
Lamar, Josh Allen.
You have Josh Allen above him?
Yeah. Josh Allen is, until 2 weeks ago,
The last 3 weeks he's thrown
he has thrown an interception, but
okay. That's 2 guys ahead of him.
I don't know. I just.
How is Jalen not top 3?
I just.
Give me a 3rd guy.
I would. I want to put Burrow there just because I know the record is not what it should be.
He's
but
not gonna. You can't.
I know he's not going to, but neither Jalen's not going to win it. Like Lamar is.
Just like you can't put Baker in there because of the losses, so you're not gonna have Baker in there.
I would put Saquon in there before I put Jalen.
Okay.
But Jalen,
But Saquon's not going to be fighting for the MVP,
he's not going to be MVP
because it's a quarterback
it's
award.
A quarterback award.
They have an offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So, is there?
If you're going to put top 3 quarterbacks, for MVP, he's there. But
okay.
For MVP, because it's not. It's best quarterback. It's unfortunate. That's what the award is now.
I don't think it's unfortunate because they have offensive player of the year as well.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, moving on. Cardinals Jets. Cardinals won 31-6. Rodgers 22 of 35, 151. Kyler had a great game. 22 of 24, 266 and a touchdown. He got smoked on one play and held on to the football. But he
His
had what
helmet came off. I thought he got the captain
at one
for a
point
second.
he had like 17 straight
Yeah.
completions. He's played really good ever since he's had that injury last year. James Conner 12 for 113, 113 total yards and a touchdown. I mean, we could talk about the Cardinals. I think we should, but it's fun to talk about the Jets and their struggles. Where do they go from here? It's just kind of like Rodgers doesn't look happy. Nobody looks happy. Him and Devontae looked not on the same page, which is rare. Um, yeah, where do they go from here? And I guess kind of my second question is Rodgers playing in the NFL next year?
Okay, so here's a stat that is just wild to me. Aaron Rodgers against the Cardinals, who had the 24th ranked pass defense, had one completion for more than 10 yards in the
Yeah.
air. That is ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
for a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Blah, blah. That is
It's bad, yeah.
ridiculous and pathetic. And I was really disappointed by his post-game press
Yeah.
conference because a lot of his talk is about how poor their defense played. And I'm like, brother, you guys put up
Yeah.
6 points. You had 2 field goals. That's what you did, and you're gonna talk about how your defense didn't play well? Are you kidding me? Like he said, like
Well, the defense didn't
off-
play well, but neither did
that's
their
not his
offense.
place. He's not the head coach.
No, but
He's the quarterback. You're not hearing that from other quarterbacks. You're hearing that from coaches.
Yeah.
Head coaches saying our offense didn't do this, our defense didn't do that, our offense did great here, our defense did great here, special teams, whatever.
we've known this is what Rodgers is.
I
That's
know
how
that
it is.
doesn't make it right.
No, but
It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. And the thing is about is he gonna play next year? Should he? No.
No.
Should he have played this year or last year? No. I've been saying that over and over again. But what is going to keep him on that field? His arrogance. His arrogance is not going to let him retire after a season like this.
I think last year it's kind of tough to say just with the Achilles. Like obviously we don't know how. There's so many if, ands, or buts about with the Achilles, but after the Achilles, he's not the same player, and it's more.
Wasn't the
It's
same
it's
player
more.
before
It's
it.
more. He didn't look nearly this bad his last year in Green Bay. He was not this bad.
But that's not with a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. Culture and coaching goes a long way, and then it's just. I mean, the Jets.
He deserves this because he did this to himself. He is arrogant. He is a whiner. He thinks that he knows all the right moves to make. He has gotten everything he wanted. He picked the team he wanted, the city he wanted, the coach he wanted, the receiver he wanted, the running back, the defense. And look at what this.
Yeah.
You're a mess. You look pathetic. You're embarrassed. And Nick Wright, I heard say, who should be more embarrassed, Aaron Rodgers or the media who believed in him? Mike Greenberg was saying, because there was a question on their show of Get Up of saying, is the season over for the Jets? And Mike Greenberg, he's a Jets fan. He's been a Jets fan for over 50 years. He said, unfortunately, no, the season's not over. Unfortunately, we have to watch this team play a handful more games.
Hopefully they get off some
embarrassing.
primetime games because we don't want to watch them in primetime.
Aaron Rodgers, I do. I love seeing this reality TV show of dramatic mess.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because Rodgers brought it on himself. But all that aside, I do want to shout out Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has been playing a lot better.
Yeah.
He hasn't been playing great at all times. Like, I'm not going to put him in the great status. Playing really good football. And they're doing what they should be doing against teams that aren't good, and they're clobbering them.
I heard
You
this.
need to see
I heard
that.
this stat from Schefter. So this is now 3 straight weeks the Cardinals have not allowed an offensive touchdown.
Mhm.
It's been 98 years since they've done that. Like that's crazy. Like obviously, like they got blown out by Green Bay, which a very good football team, but they've been playing well. Kylie's been playing well. Marvin Harrison. I mean,
Baker.
yeah. I mean, they just, and they're first in a very close division. I think they have some divisional games yet, so they'll be tested for sure. But,
Shout out to Jonathan Gannon.
yes, yeah,
Because he was kind of like, not like a nobody, but last year you could see that the team was believing in him, even though like media and fans like weren't. The team really rallied around him, and they're showing that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be. They very likely are a playoff team this year.
yeah. I think they have a real shot to win that division because the Niners. I mean,
We'll see.
division game for them. That's going to be a real test. McCaffrey's back, but we'll see what they look like.
I think you have the Sunday night game.
Oh, the Sunday night game.
It's a fun one.
It was a very. This had basically everything in a football game except for a punt return for a touchdown. It seemed like it had, Lions ended up winning 26-23 on a game winning field goal. Goff went 15 of 30, 240, two touchdowns, and five interceptions. Stroud went 19 for 33, 232, a touchdown, and two picks. Gibbs went 19 for 108. The Texans had full control of this football game. They were up 23-7 at halftime. Like, Goff was not playing well. Their offense just needed to put a drive together, and they couldn't. They didn't score in the second half. Shout out Jake Bates had two big kicks. I mean, both of them sneaked like 1 inch either way. They lose this football game. Credit to Dan Campbell. I mean, I truly believe he's the front runner for Coach of the Year. And I mean, my question is to you: is he, in your opinion?
No, I don't have him as front runner
Who
for
do you
Coach
have?
of the Year. I think there's a few guys you have to put ahead. I think Tomlin and Quinn are both up there. Now, I know Quinn lost this week
Andy
against
Reid is
Tomlin.
Reid up. He's
It's
undefeated,
difficult. He is
and
undefeated, and I
that's
think Reid is great. Is but the truth be told, you usually give the coach of the, if you're looking at how the Coach of the Year award is voted, because we knew the Chiefs were a great team,
yeah,
but the Steelers have new pieces. The Commanders have plenty of new pieces and a
yeah.
rookie quarterback. And I mean,
The
who wins the
Lions,
last year to make Ryan's? Dan Campbell's already
yeah,
won it when he first made the changes
yeah.
of saying, okay, now they went from bad to
They
wow,
went
they're really
from yeah,
competitive. Now we already knew the Lions were going to be
mm,
competitive. I'm not saying that he hasn't been great. I think he deserves probably the most credit for that win, getting
yeah,
that team to turn around, especially the defense at halftime, and then the offense being able to battle even with their mistakes
yeah.
that they made or
Mm-hmm.
that Goff made or whoever you want to put the blame on. But the Texans should be embarrassed. The Texans have
Yes.
completely lost the magic from last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was not just this week. It's been many weeks this season. I'm not saying that they should be worried about the game
No.
against the Cowboys, but just like I said, how the Cardinals have been doing what they should be doing against bad teams, which is clobbering them, the Texans need to go and clobber the Cowboys. It needs to never be a fight. It
Yeah.
needs to be a complete embarrassment
Yeah.
of the Dallas Cowboys
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
to feel like, okay, the Texans are
The
still there.
Texans had an opportunity because like everybody in the AFC South lost. Like you had an opportunity to go up 3 games in your division.
And that's
And,
the thing. I think
like
they know that they're not really fighting for a division, which makes them not
yeah,
worried.
it's yeah,
Put them in the AFC North. Put them
yeah,
in the NFC North. Put them
it's
in the NFC West.
yeah,
Then you're really worried about the Texans.
yeah,
We're not talking about being worried about them because they're in a bad division that we know they're gonna win. But if they were
yeah,
in just about any other division, we'd be like, oh shoot, Texans,
yeah.
y'all gotta get on it,
Like
and they
yeah,
do.
they unfortunately they dealt with injuries, but everybody deals with injuries. Nico, it looked like he was maybe going to play, but he didn't. He should be back this
Yeah.
week. Kyler. CJ was more protected. He looked. I mean,
Here,
yeah, the offense was just not. I
this
don't know
is
what
the
happened in the
problem.
halftime.
This is the problem too. Is that well, I mean the Lions make great adjustments,
Yeah,
but here's the thing: when you talk about the injuries, I'm gonna the Texans and the Buccaneers both dealt with some major wide receiver injuries.
Mhm.
The Buccaneers offense still showed fight. They're in at the game even at the end of it. They're still able to move the ball down the field. The Texans, it was like this brokenness.
yeah,
We saw that from the first time that they dealt with these injuries to last week when they're still dealing with Nico being out. Great teams are able to make those adjustments. If Dan Campbell and the Lions can make those adjustments at halftime
yeah,
in 15 minutes, go out there and come back and win the game.
yeah.
You should have been able to make those adjustments in the last 3, 4,
Yeah.
5 weeks.
Yeah, and it's on the
that's
offense.
embarrassing.
It's on the offense 100%. The defense did their job, and you knew that the Lions were going to be like their offense was going to be better. It's like you have a 16-point lead at halftime.
You literally
Like
needed a touchdown.
you needed a touchdown. You needed a two field goal. It's like yeah, I just think they need to be
And I think the
more
choice of
disciplined for sure.
yeah.
It's yeah.
Monday night game, Dolphins Rams. Dolphins won 23-15. Tua was 20 of 28, 270 yards, touchdown and an interception. Washington had a rushing touchdown. Hill had a receiving touchdown. Stafford was 32 of 46, 293 yards and an interception. How big of trouble are the Rams in?
This was a big loss for them. This was one that should have been like a maybe not a dominant win, but a comfortable win.
Really?
I fully believe that.
I had the Dolphins.
I know the Dolphins like they've been close, but it's like I had faith in McVay. That was my thing. Is like they've gotten healthier. This was a game they should have won. Um, I mean, their offense was not great. I mean, even like Tua had an interception, had a big pick, and they were set up well. But it's just like this is not a game that you can be afford to lose in a very tough division. So I think they're in obviously not big trouble because like their all division is around the same record. But this it could be a game at the end of the year that you're a game or so like if you have one more win, like you win the division, and this could be a game that they look back on as like we weren't prepared, which is kind of shocking to say with the Sean McVay led team. So.
All right, game balls. Who is your offensive game ball this week?
It has to be Kyler, 22 of 24, touchdown and two rushing touchdowns. Just carved up that Jets defense that has not looked good at all since Salah's left. I mean, everybody saw this coming. But defensively, Brian Branch for the Lions, he was all over the field, had some big pass breakups, bounced back after he got ejected last week. Just a stud, like one of the best safeties in football, for sure.
Yeah, my offensive game ball is Lamar Jackson, 25-33, 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And then,
on prime time.
yeah, against the division opponent. And defense is Teron Johnson. He had a pick six against Flacco, which really helped fuel the Bills, whose offense was not great.
Yeah.
If they didn't have that pick six, then this game could have gone the other way.
Right.
Who do you have for? Oh, he also recorded a sack and 3 tackles. But who do you have for coach of the week?
I had Dan Campbell just because I think that Dan Campbell. I don't know what he said in that locker room at halftime, but I mean they rallied around Goff. No matter how bad Goff was playing, you see guys kind of quit on their quarterback. They never did because Campbell has built the culture there. So I mean, all credit to him.
I have two. I have Rizzy for interim head coach coming in
win.
beating a good
very
division
good, yeah.
opponent, and then my other is Mike Tomlin because they're beating a good
Yes.
Commanders team who's had a lot of hype, a lot of energy, a lot of talent, and you go in there and you win that game hopefully. So, fantasy, personal best, personal worst.
Yeah, I've done smoked the fantasy this week, but Lamar 32.9, Cup 15, Achan 10.2, and my bottom of three, Koo had 2, Ferguson had 4.4, and Casey's defense had 7.
My personal best, James Conner, 22.3. Eagles defense had 20. Mahomes had 16.54. Personal worst, McConkey had 7.2. Dell at 8.3. And Dobbins at 8.5. I had the win until the Texans decided to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
And Kai missed it.
That was a bold kick because
that was the worst kick I might have seen
from
this year.
Kai,
I mean, it was like
Kai's looked pretty decent, one of the better kickers, and that was not a good kick.
Yeah, so that literally, I lost by 0.14 fantasy points.
Unfortunate.
That was rough.
The game.
But I also was playing against Jamar Chase. He had 55.4 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So overall best, Jamar Chase with 55.4. Burrow, 33.72. Bijan had 29.4. Ridley had 25.4. Kelsey had 20.4. Eagles defense at 20. And Cardi had 18. Kicker with 18. You know you're having a good game. Overall worst, Cooper Rush with 2.2. Yeah. Zeke Elliott with 0.2. And Tank Bigsby with 0.4. Deontay Johnson with 1.6. Darnell Washington with 1.6. The Bengals defense with -4. And Will Lutz at 0. So
2 Cowboys in there says a lot.
The highest score was 2.2 of the worst. So y'all are struggling. But yeah, that was a fun one. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll get into some good weekly news for y'all. All right, so some weekly news. Last Tuesday was the election. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Last Tuesday was the trade deadline. We had a few that we didn't get to talk about. So the Steelers had traded for Packers outside linebacker Preston Smith. Yeah. He requested a trade for not fitting in the scheme, and it was honestly like a really respectful thing by all sides because Preston loved playing for the Packers. The Packers loved Preston, but Preston didn't feel like he was having as good of a season in this scheme. And it's a great scheme. It just didn't fit as well for his play. He gets to go to the Steelers. I think that was a great move.
He had a big play for the Steelers.
Yeah, and it was a good move for everyone. Saints wide receiver Chris Olave. So he had gotten injured. Yeah. He's going to consult with specialists after suffering his second concussion of the season and fourth in his career. They're removing football from the equation, Rizzy said, of when it comes to the decision making. This is about the health and making sure the person is okay. Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard, he agreed to terms on a 4-year, $33.2 million contract extension.
I don't know. I like the move. I mean, gives Bryce some security in the backfield for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of making Bryce continue to be more comfortable is having consistency and security. I mean, Leggett looks like to be like a going to be there for a long time, and Chuba Hubbard now is going to be there for a long time.
We talked about last week. We didn't know what was going to happen with the Titans and if they would go back to Levis. They did go back to him
Yep.
as the starter. And then also Trevor Lawrence was questionable. It was a little shocking that he ended up not playing. That seemed kind of like
Yeah.
drastic, but it's probably for the best, especially because you're not going to go anywhere this season.
Yeah.
Don't want to injure the guy more with a shoulder injury. Nick Bosa was fined $11,255 for wearing the mega hat. It is against the dress code
Yeah.
violation in the NFL. But he said it was worth the fine. Roger Goodell announced on NFL Network that the league plans to play 8 international games next season, with games set for London, Spain, Brazil, Mexico City, Germany, and possibly Ireland. However you feel about the international games, credit to Goodell because he is just always working.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a master at his
I
job.
find
I think
international.
he's a
Yeah.
great commissioner. Um, Giants head coach Brian Dable said that they are evaluating everything when asked if Daniel Jones will remain the starting quarterback. Giants are going into their bye this week. It's when a lot of teams who are really not doing anything make some big moves.
Yeah. I just with the Giants, it's like you're waiting for the big move. It's going to be either Dable or Jones, one of the two. I don't see a world where they're together next year.
And maybe the best move is to move out for both of them
Yeah,
at
and
the,
just
by the
yeah,
end of the
full
season.
reset. Yeah.
Matt Eberflus, meanwhile, says there will be changes all over after the three straight
Yeah.
losses. They're evaluating everything, with one exception: no change of quarterback. Caleb is their starter. Colts, meanwhile, are going to stick with Joe Flacco as their starter. They made that clear. Quarterback Dak Prescott, he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
He is scheduled to undergo surgery Wednesday. So tomorrow on his injured hamstring, he is out for the season. Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys have been struggling, and Micah Parsons had some comments
Yes,
after the
that
game.
was
In
kind
a
of
quote, he
yeah,
said he can leave and go wherever he wants when he was asked about kind of how coaches affect him personally and the energy, and it was very strange, but there's just turmoil there.
yeah,
But Micah, I think best thing for Micah's career might be being somewhere else, like we talked about. It
yeah.
might be
It
good that he didn't
sounds
get
like
paid.
he's already got one foot out the door.
Yeah. He had a good game though, coming
Yeah.
back. And then, as you didn't apparently get to
Oh
see,
yeah.
Bears fired Shane Waldron and also offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown's expected to take over again. The Bears play the Packers this week.
Yeah, we kind of saw this coming. It was like offense. I mean, Shane Waldron. Some Bears fans really weren't excited about the hire to begin with, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's like you fired Getsy last year. Getsy got fired again this year, so maybe he's just not a good coordinator at all. And now Shane Waldron, uh, yeah, out in Chicago, and we'll see if that has any change or any impact on the Bears. I mean, they legitimately. I don't say this like they could. There's a chance they could not win a game the rest of the year. I mean,
They
they haven't played in a divisional game
And
yet.
that's the thing. I mean, the when you looked at the schedule, you saw that there was the easier up until this week against the
Yeah,
Packers. Then is when it got really tough. Not that every game was easy,
yeah.
but there was an
Packers coming
easier
off a bye week
schedule.
too.
And they're going to be the healthiest they've been all season. Yeah, the Bears have a rough one coming
Yeah,
up against the Packers because just historically, the Packers,
the floor is
always
yet
have
to
to
lose
lose.
to Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think that changes.
Love hasn't lost to Chicago. Preston Smith, who they traded away, he hadn't lost to Chicago.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bears haven't beaten the Packers in a
Yes.
while. But I mean, who knows? Again, anything can happen in a division
Yeah.
game. Bears are hosting, and we'll see
Yeah.
how the Packers respond from their bye, and also if the guys who should be back from injury are back.
Yes.
All right, but now we will get into our Week 11 preview. We have a great game to start off the week with
Yeah.
Commanders Eagles. This is a really fun one.
I have Commanders winning this one 24-20. I mean the everybody's talking about how like the Commanders they beat the teams that they should and they're 0-3 against about 500 teams. Um they they played so well against the Steelers. They really did. But I don't know, just this feels like a game on a short week the Eagles maybe just aren't ready. I don't know. Um this is going to be I think it's going to be similar to last week's Thursday night, Baltimore and Cincinnati. Maybe not as high scoring, but I think it'll be a one possession game, and I think it could legitimately come down to who has the ball last.
That's fair. I think the Commanders win this game, and I think even though the Eagles have a good defensive line overall, it's not nothing compared to the
Mm-hmm.
Steelers. So I think Jaden's gonna feel just a lot more
Yeah,
comfortable. We have the Raiders Dolphins. Raiders are coming off of a bye. Dolphins are coming off of a short week. I think the Dolphins win this game.
yeah, me
Second
too.
another win. Tua's been really great,
Yeah,
honestly.
yep,
Great, maybe strong. He's been
very good,
impressive.
impressive. Yeah, yeah. The Dolphins, I 20 to 14. I think Raiders are kind of in shambles, and Dolphins are coming off a big win.
Yeah. Browns Saints. Browns are coming off of a bye. Saints are coming off of a big win.
I got the Saints winning this one. I think the guys are really starting to rally around Darren Rizzi. I think it's 1 week, but sometimes all you need is a fresh start, fresh change, and that's what they have.
Yeah, they do seem to have just more life than the Browns do,
Mm.
but we'll see what happens with them coming off the bye. Colts Jets.
I got the Jets winning this one. I'll go with my bold prediction. This is part of my bold prediction that the Jets win. Um,
That in itself is a
that
bold
in
prediction.
itself is bold to say, but yeah, I think they win this one.
I think the Colts win. There's nothing to make me believe that the Jets can beat
Yeah,
anybody.
it's fair.
There really isn't. Vikings Titans. This is actually very fascinating because the Vikings offense has really stalled.
Uh-huh.
The Titans offense has actually been putting up a little bit more points, but the Vikings should win this game.
Yeah, I think they win it. I have 27-17. I think the Vikings are just
I think their defense is going to be too much
yes,
for Levis
yeah,
to handle.
yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of one of those games where it's like Kevin O'Connell's like, all right, this is a not a good football team that they're playing against, and I think they should win this pretty comfortably.
But if the Titans can get the run game going and Levis can just take care of the football, be more of a game manager,
Yeah.
they have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what their defense does,
Yeah.
but they could have a chance. Packers Bears, most historic rivalry in the NFL. I think Packers win this one coming off of a bye. They're just a better team overall.
Yeah. Coming off a bye, I mean, we saw what Love looked like last year off a bye. I think it's a very good chance it happens again. He has not been healthy since training camp. He got injured in that Eagles game in Brazil. But yeah, Bears are kind of not kind of. They are reeling. They just, I mean, you couldn't protect Caleb against the Patriots, which I mean, they're good defense, but I don't know. This is a very good Packers D line and a very good Packers defense. This could be a nightmare game for Caleb. It really could. It could get bad.
Jaguars Lions.
I,
Well, Lawrence will probably be back.
yeah,
It's in Detroit. It could be a competitive game until the end, like we've seen
Yeah.
with the Jags.
yeah. I think yeah. I mean, the Jags. If this is a fourth quarter game, I don't think there's a chance the Jags win
The
this
Jags
one.
have to put it away.
They have to be up like 14 points
at least.
at least. I mean,
The helmet matchup is crazy though.
yeah. I mean, but yeah, I don't think this. I don't know. I think it would be a blowout, but yeah.
Rams Patriots. This is also fascinating
It
because
is.
the Rams are underperforming. The Patriots might be overperforming ish.
I don't know. I had the Rams win 24-16. Patriots did look good. Again, it's a bad Bears team. But Drake May, I think I said before the season started, I was not confident in Drake May, and I was wrong. I was wrong. I mean, just Drake May is, I mean, they're not a good team, but he's played, when they started him, I was like, maybe not, but he's played well. Again, there are some rookie mistakes for sure, but that's to be expected. But But yeah, I do think the Rams win this game and just yeah, I think just more talented, and that's gonna what it's gonna come down to.
Ravens Steelers divisional game. I think I have the Steelers winning this one.
I do too, actually. I have 28-23 just because I think the Ravens, their biggest problem. I mean, you saw kind of with the Bengals. It's like the defense. It's like you are just hoping to outscore a team, and I think this Steelers defense has a chance to really stifle. I'm gonna say not really stifle, but like when I say contain Lamar Jackson, I mean like 23 points. Like Lamar's gonna get, he's gonna get his two
Yeah.
touchdowns that he gets.
I think the big thing for the Steelers is I think the Steelers can help make the Ravens offense get out of sync, and that's where the Ravens
Yeah,
can start to
and
crumble.
I mean we'll see what Highsmith's injury is, but it's like if you can contain, it's very hard to contain Lamar Jackson for a whole game, but at times you need to make him uncomfortable. But I do think the Steelers win this game.
Seahawks Niners, another good one. Seahawks are coming off of a bye. McCaffrey will probably get a little bit more playing time in this game, or a little bit more
Yeah.
like real playing time. I
hmm
guess I feel like they were still careful with him. He only had 39 yards.
Yeah, I got 27-21 Niners. Seahawks are really kind of like up and down. This could be, I don't know. This is McCaffrey's big game where he has 100 yards and maybe a couple touchdowns. But yeah, I do think the Niners win this game. The Seahawks have just been too inconsistent for my liking.
I could also see this being a walk-off field goal game for either team.
Yeah.
Falcons Broncos. This is another great game.
I
We have a
I
great
I got
slate.
Broncos winning this one 24-20. I mean, they played very well. Obviously, they didn't beat the Chiefs, and it's unfortunate the way it ended. The Falcons, that's a tough loss against the Saints, a divisional game. But this, I think, I would say it's a must win for the Falcons. But this, you need to get back on track in a very competitive division.
And I think they do just that. I think the Broncos are great. I think this could be a close game, but I don't think I can't see the Falcons losing these two games in a row. Game everyone's talking about, Chiefs Bills, and it's in Buffalo, which is helpful.
I think that's why the Bills win. I think it's in Buffalo. Um, this is I would say a test for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been tested. They don't need to be tested. It's a veteran group of guys, but like the Chiefs have found a way to win in legitimately every way possible. There isn't a way they haven't won. Um, but I do think that if I think the Bills are an experienced team and they've dealt with Mahomes, they know what you're going to get with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I think this is where just the Chiefs, not to say they've gotten away because it's been gotten away with a lot of things because it's been coaching. It's been a lot of like, we've been here before. We know how to win these games. But I think the Bills is like, this is a team that has kind of that same experience. Obviously, Super Bowls like Mahomes, but I think that they're going to be ready for the Chiefs, and this is the Chiefs' first loss.
Yeah, I think the Bills have an opportunity here, but I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, and I'm actually gonna say that they don't lose this game. I think they'll just go undefeated in the regular season.
Okay.
I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl, but I think they're gonna go undefeated in the regular season.
I think if they win this one, they have a real shot to go undefeated. Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure.
So, Bengals Chargers, the competitive one. I'm going Bengals here. I just don't believe in the Chargers yet. I like them, I really do. I want to believe in them, but I don't. And I think
I don't know.
that's
I
gonna
got the
start.
Chargers for this one. This could be like, I don't know. It could be a thing where it's like the Bengals again losing a heartbreaker,
Yeah.
but the Bengals, yeah, like you said, it could go back and forth. This is a really good primetime game. But the Bengals, I mean, Jamar voiced his frustration. He's like, I don't think I've ever played this good and been this bad record wise. Um, yeah, this is a must win for the Bengals. Like the Chargers, you kind of like be okay with not be okay with you never okay with losing, but like you not. I mean, neither of these teams are contenders, but like the Bengals have played too well to be this bad.
Texans Cowboys. The Texans. You have
You
to
have to win
lead
this
this
one.
game dominantly. It has to be like
Two, three
34
scores.
to
Yeah.
9 or something.
Yeah. I could be. I mean, the Cowboys haven't showed any promise. I have 24-10, and I think that's kind of generous for the Cowboys. I really the offense is not good. I mean, you even saw last week with the Cowboys. It's like CD's complaining about the sun with how.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not great the way that the stadium's constructed. It's
And
but
who made those decisions?
it's Jerry,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jerry got all, oh, we got to tear it down and build a new stadium, buddy. You built it, and then he's saying how like, oh, we know where the sun is, and I'm like, you realize there's a coin toss. You don't get to decide that every game, but what? Yeah, it just it's a whole mess in Dallas, and it's going to be a mess for a couple of years, and
It's wild.
it's bad. Yeah,
What game are you most looking forward to?
Steelers Ravens for sure. I think it's. I'm not saying this is the team that's going to win the division, but this is like if the Steelers win this game, they have a strong stronghold on the division
Yeah.
for sure.
There's so many good games to look forward to.
Our rivalry games.
Yeah, the the Commanders Eagles. I mean, I know it's early
Yeah.
in this first game, but I think that's a really fun one. I think it's a huge like where these teams are at,
Mm.
and like the division implications, playoff, all of it. So, do you have your bold predictions still?
Yeah, my first one is well, it's with the Jets game. It's the Jets win, and very bold, but the Colts go back to AR next week. I think that like maybe Flacco was another bad game, and then you're like, okay, we lost to the Jets, maybe we did make a mistake. My second one, I have the Packers 2 defensive touchdowns against the Bears. I mean, me their strip sack for a touchdown, 2 picks, two pick six or something. I don't know. Like Caleb is maybe he's a little bit more protected, but I mean this secondary has played very well, and yeah, I think this could be a bad game for Caleb. And my last one is that if Bengals lose another heartbreaker, this could be. I'm maybe thinking like this is like, well, they have like a 10 point lead with like 5 minutes left, and they just find a way to lose.
I think the Eagles are going to be ahead of the Commanders, but what puts the Commanders ahead is a pick six.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction. I also have a bold prediction for that Packers Bears game, and I think that Josh Jacobs has 2 rushing touchdowns. Jordan Love has at least 1 passing touchdown, maybe a rushing touchdown himself, but definitely at least 2 touchdowns for both of them. Um, and then I think I don't know if it's really bold, but like the Bills Chiefs game, that it's not a field goal decider. It's not an overtime game. It's gonna be one team winning this game decisively,
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's gonna be the Chiefs. I don't see it coming down. It
Yeah.
has all the hype, and I think it's getting
Yeah.
overhyped. I think it could very well be 27-13.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
It's
And
almost like you kind of just like with the Chiefs, they for whatever reason they're like have all these close games, and then now it's kind of like, all right, we know what we have in the Bills. We've beaten them before.
Yeah.
We'll do it. But again, maybe with Josh Allen,
it could be reversed.
Either
it could
way.
be the Bills going and beating them
Yeah.
27-13.
the Chiefs may be like, yeah, this is their game where they finally look. I mean, they've looked bad a handful of times, but they
Yeah.
found a way to win. But this is where the Bills are kind of like, all right,
The bad's gonna count for something.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so then the teams that have a bye are the Cardinals, Bucks, Panthers, and Giants. It's a good time for
The Bucks need that bye week.
the Bucks need the bye week, but the Cardinals and Panthers, you're hot right now. Hopefully, you can still have that momentum and just get healthy, get more consistent.
The Giants.
But Giants, you can sell the team. New York, you could just sell both of your football teams.
Yeah.
I don't know, y'all aren't looking good. Maybe let's just trade quarterbacks. We'll see if that does anything. That could be fun. But yeah, we have we're on the home stretch here, of the season. This is where you really start seeing the teams separate themselves of playoff teams, Super Bowl caliber teams, and then teams that let's just fight for a draft pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have a great week of football, and that's week 11 coming up.
Yeah.